say I'm here for my music, here for my music, here for my music. Whatever my haters say, I'm real for my music, real for my music, real for my music. Run 시간다와 랩몬 모든 나의 일부 또래 래퍼 지망생들의 질투. 어차피 니들은 보고 싶은 것만 보지 멍청한 어린 꼰대들 가방끈이 짧아 칠부. 네가 귀염을 토할 때 난 기염을 토해 열등감에 찬져 모두 가게 인형들 꺼내 선글라스 내 헤어스타일 내 이름 모두를 까내리지. 현실증 따들의 비극적인 코미디 있으면 턱턱 맡기는 덮쳐 버린 내 랩 좀 텁텁하고 섭섭해도 널 단번에 벙쳐 버리게 이렇게 뻑뻑한 갈비가 싫다면서 뻑뻑 머리 긁는 애들의 척척 I know you suck so Damn fame 내 중년이야 Yeah I'm making a mom Big kick 박타 손은 단 Yeah I'm making a shine 이런 값을 해내 훌리건 바란 적 없어 홀리는 Yeah bitch wanna be the one Number one yeah 니 only one
몰라 너는 날 몰라 제발 닥쳐주고 니네는 걱정 마 좋아 너보다 앞으로도 그럴 테지 예전부터 날 무시했던 친구들 다 어딨어 이건 장난 같은 게 아니야 보여줄게 I promise ya
Give me that real fast
보여줄게 I promise ya we own
Give me that real fast
보여줄게 I promise ya we
Whatever
own
they say I'm here for my music here for my music here for my music Whatever my haters say I'm real for my music real for my music real for my music
All my haters 좀 더 욕해줘 키보드 버리 노력해줘 그래 그렇게 무시해줘 네가 틀렸단 걸 증명하는 게 치매야 논란되는 실력 날 속단하긴 일러 I'm killer 잭 리퍼 날 소녀로 너 찔러 I'm ill 난 killer 또 너보다는 바빠 찔려 데뷔적 무시하던 hater 희부심 가득한 너는 이제 내 밑에 있어 잘 봐라 나는 메이저 부럽지 hate 내가 보기엔 따라오기는 벅차 그냥 거기 있어 내 손으로 직접 내린 네가 사는 핸들 드립 연습생 졸업했지
Celebrate
난 랩 백배지 너흰 그냥 그린 백지 발전이 없어 해가 좀더 열폭
몰라 너는 날 몰라 제발 닥쳐주고 니네는 걱정 마 좋아 너보다 앞으로도 그럴 테지 예전부터 날 무시했던 친구들 다 어딨어 이건 장난 같은 게 아니야 보여줄게 I promise ya we own
Give me that real fast
보여줄게 I promise ya we own
Give me that real fast
보여줄게 I promise ya we own
cool 활동은 길이 박스 이건 코숨치던 얘들에게 던지는 한수 축하해 퍽이나 힘매고 위한 고정 멘트 그런 거라면 네 감은 썩어서 도려내 이젠 급이 달라진 놈이 농생 신호 모두 관심 대상 hero 감탄을 일러 지켜봐 내 미래 네가 무시한 만큼 나 성공의 길로 진했어
몰라 너는 날 몰라 제발 닥쳐주고 니네는 걱정 마 좋아 너보다 앞으로도 그럴 테지 예전부터 날 무시했던 친구들 다 어딨어 이건 장난 같은 게 아니야 보여줄게 I promise ya we own
Give me that real fast
보여줄게 I promise ya we own 보여줄게 I promise ya we own
Whatever they say I'm here for my music here for my music here for my music Whatever my haters say I'm real for my music real for my music real for my music
Hi guys.
Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Army Review. So if you watched our podcast last week, then you will know that we're switching up how we do things and we are separating our music segments into individual segments. So we're going to be discussing 3 songs on these segments and this is the first one. Exciting.
Very exciting.
Okay, should we just jump right into these next songs? We just heard the first one that we're going to be discussing today, We On. An underrated track, in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah. You know, I will say that before we were doing all of this, I'd never really looked into the lyrics of the song. And I'd always thought it was just really catchy. And then reading the lyrics and as we're about to get into it, talking about how this song is their response to their haters, I think the longevity and the appeal of this song for someone who had no idea what the lyrics were is such a massive victory for them.
Oh yeah, it's so nice going back over it. I kind of knew what it was about, but going back over it has been really fun. Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to give like a summary of what the song is about?
Yeah, so this song is definitely just a kind of I will show you all, and you keep being petty little bitches, and we'll keep winning. That's my summary.
Yeah. It's a good summary. Very succinct.
Yeah.
Okay. What I would say, what I want to add to that is that this seems like their response to all the hate and ridicule they got at that point in time. Because if you recall, they were this idol group that was very heavily leaning into the hip hop concept and trying to be more, just going way further with it than any of the other idol groups had. So they received a lot of ridicule. Bang Nim got a lot of ridicule. Everybody thought that they were just riding his fame because he'd been a very like successful songwriter when he worked with JYP, and so everybody just thought like that this was a flop. And this was, and we've talked before about how much this kind of music meant to all of them and how personal it is for all of them. So for them as true artists to create like a diss track, a response through music is just so, it's so like authentic.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, like not even just from idol, like idol groups in the industry as well, but like from the other side of things, from the hip hop side of things as well. Like, so the fact that they can do that all in one by producing a very standard hip hop song that's a diss track and that has very typical beats for hip hop, and also whilst doing it being in an idol group, and yeah, it's just great. It's a great way for them to express their frustration. It's like you hate on us in your like meaningless little ways of writing comments or saying things behind our backs, but we will express ourselves through music in the way that
we're
we've always been
supposed
taught to. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite line is in the chorus where the chorus just says, "Would you please shut up? Don't worry about me. I'm doing better than you." And I'm like,
Continue to do so.
yeah, I love it so much.
Okay, so should we just go chronologically?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to point out was the English section that Namjoon says, the whatever they say, I'm here for my music. This is so classic of like a noughties hip hop song, and I love like his deep kind of speaking voice of just, it's a great way to like separate the song, and it's just very typical in that kind of music, and you can just tell that they're still sticking to their roots of this is the music I listen to and this is the kind of music that I want to make.
Can I just say, I like how despite all the ridicule they got, instead of changing their concept, they dug in.
They went even harder into it.
I think that just shows so much backbone.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like, we don't care what you're gonna say because this is who they are, so whatever.
Yeah.
So Junie's verse, the first verse. So I love that he starts it off with Run Chiranda and Rapmon, they're all parts of me. And like even to this day, like he's become RM now, and that's another part of him. And then there's Namjoon, which is another part of him. And this is a concept they've explored further as they've gone on in time, especially with Idol. And yeah, it's always funny to see how their messages transpire across time. And even back in the very early albums, they had similar ideologies. They've just developed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that about him because everybody was always complaining like, oh, well, you changed. You're not who you're supposed to be. What's the real you? What's fake? And he's just like, they're all aspects of me. I'm not a cardboard cutout. I'm not like a 2-bit character. Like, I'm complicated, and all of this is still authentically me.
Yeah, I can be all of these things at once, and I can choose which one I want to be for which given situation, and like, isn't that more multi-dimensional and real? Yeah.
Love it. I like that he called out the hip-hop community as uneducated. That just, it's just really like he just went for it. And then
like this first verse is very much like calling out the hip-hop industry. And I feel like this came at a time like when the people that he used to be friends with like became jealous and started like talking shit about them, and like jealousy is just a very ugly emotion, isn't it? Like he says, you guys only see what you want to see anyway. It's like the decision is already made for you, so don't pretend like you're criticizing because you have a reason to. You make your own narrative and then talk shit about it because that's what you want to do because you're jealous. So
yeah, and I also like though how on the other end he also called out the idol community where he said that they were focused on cuteness while he's busy demonstrating power and energy. And was he not right?
Yes. And I mean, like, we have him calling out the hip hop community in the first verse or the first section, and then he moves on to talk about the idol rappers. And I love when he says that when you demonstrate your cuteness, I demonstrate my power and energy, because it really reminds me of who he was at that time. And when you watch videos of him at that time, he was always very focused on being this kind of powerful, strong man, and like a rapper. I'm tough, and he never wanted to be cute. Like when you see all their photo shoots and things like that, or like the other members doing cute things, he'd be like just standing in the corner like, no, I'm cool. And I love that he feels like he can be both now, which is just great.
Yeah. I just wanted to say my favorite quote from his part is translated by Dulcet, the real MVP here, as I've never wanted a hole in one. Yeah, I want to be the one, the only one, rather than number one. And isn't that so foretelling of where they are now?
It is. Like, it is crazy reading over these lyrics and just seeing how much of it actually transpired to become what they were saying. And we've said this before, but like how much balls they had to write these kind of things, not knowing what would happen. And so I really liked it when he says a tragic comedy of real life losers, like, because he's literally like using kind of Shakespearean and old school playwright tropes of like a tragic comedy, but then saying like it's real life, and it's just so educated. And like this all comes after him saying, yeah, you're all uneducated. So it was cool that he did that. But my favorite part of his verse is just the way he rhymes things, and how it all sounds the same. So it's like Dulcet has put the sounds, it's like tup tup, sup sup, but like over and over again, and it just flows so well. And like, and the bit where it sounds like suck, I always thought it was, yeah, you suck, but it's actually not. It actually translates to I know you pretty well, but it sounds like suck in English, so I know you suck. Genius.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I loved how he said fans, the general public, yeah, I'm making them mine, big hit and BTS, yeah, I'm making them shine. And it's like, yeah, I'm like leading this team and I'm gonna accomplish all of this, and this is what I'm already doing. And yeah, he's and I love how he ends it with swag.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Suga.
One more comment quickly.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that even though this verse is very confident, don't you feel like there's so much pain behind it as well?
Yeah.
Like the need to call out these people and the need to...
For what they've done.
Yeah, and to defend himself and to say like, I'm gonna do better than this and your words aren't gonna affect me. But just it shields a lot of pain behind those words of having to deal with that.
Well, I think that's also that was always his way of dealing with all of that. Was he said, I will prove you wrong. The only way for him to combat those feelings that he got from being ridiculed so much was saying, I can only prove to you through karma that I was right all along and you were wrong all along.
Yep. And it happened. And I put in my notes that I want them to perform this again, like when it says like, I'll show you, I promise you, we on. And I feel like this reminds me a lot of in Magic Shop when June is saying like, oh, I said that we'd show you, but I didn't really believe it. But they actually did, like it actually happened. And I would just love them to perform this again.
Me too. This is, you know, like what we always said about them performing the early songs at the year-end shows. Like, what a massive fuck you.
I love it.
All right, in the interest of time, let's keep going. So, Suga's verse, Yoongi's verse. So he's calling his haters keyboard warriors, even back then.
Yup.
And talking also about his sharp tongue. He's always been obsessed with his tongue.
Yup.
So he's just like talking about how he wants to prove everyone wrong and how he looks down on everybody who looks down on them because he just sees it for what it is. He's like, it's your hip hop pride. You are such a poser and so stuck on this image of what hip hop is supposed to look like that you can't recognize when it actually is in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I love how he says, "Oh, my haters diss me a little more. Keyboard warriors try harder." Like, yeah, you keep doing it. And when he says, "Proving you wrong is my hobby," and I really like do think that's a cornerstone of especially Yoongi's drive and how using the negative energy that he was given to make a point and to make a stand probably gave him a lot more motivation. And honestly, like, this whole scenario just reminds me of the fact that people are so negative, and like when you're negative, when you only put out like bad thoughts or bad wishes on other people, or you want their downfall or things like that, karma really is a bitch and it will come around and bite you in the ass. So everyone that tried to talk shit on them to like make them not be as successful, to bring them down, it actually worked in the complete opposite way of giving them motivation to work harder and to do better and to succeed. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's why it's like that whole thing we talked about where he had that V Live where he's just like, please keep them coming. Keep those hate comments coming.
Sued. Yeah, I like them. I enjoy them. I love it.
That's so badass. Oh, I love him. I wanted to say...
Oh, sorry, you go.
I just wanted to say my favorite quote from his section is where he says, "I'm a rap black belt. You guys are just green belt. There's no improvement." And green belt referring obviously to like the initial belt that you get in Taekwondo, but also it's considered in Korean like an area of land where building activities are restricted by law, so you can't have any improvement, no development. It's like it is what it is.
Yep, it's like I'm already a black belt and you're just gonna stay in the same position
forever.
So, yeah. He says, "Though I might be lazy, I'm still busier than you," a home truth. You are not lazy. You are one of the most hardworking people I've ever known. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite part of his verse is when you have in the background, "Hey Chaser." I love that. It's like, you must be jealous, right? "Hey Chaser, I think it's too much for you to chase after. Just stay there." That's just such a fuck you. Like, if you were to say that to somebody, like, face to face, you would get a punch. And I love that he did that through music. Because what are you going to do?
So much swag.
Yeah, they were just so, like, on top of their game.
Well, okay, so they did this through music, right? So it's supposed to be that, like, well, if someone disses you in their music, you're supposed to diss them back in your music. Yeah. And your music is supposed to be better. That's the whole idea. But everyone they called out, no one could step up.
Exactly. And this is the thing, like, I love that they've used from this, because in like typical diss tracks, like especially British diss tracks, like they're known for being brutal. Like, you listen to them and you're like, oh my god. But there's always like a back and forth of, "I'll release mine, then I'll release mine," and it's just so brutal. And they use that, but then it's just like them sitting there like, "Yeah, anyone? No one? Cool.
No one's gonna stand up? Okay, we'll just keep being awesome then." Yeah. Shall we move on to Hobie? All right, so Hobie, he references their like successful promotion of Too Cool for School, their last mini album.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, so he says Too Cool for School promotion brought a standing ovation. This is a lesson I'm throwing at those who used to laugh at us. Now, there's like a narrative that BTS, or people like to say BTS flopped. BTS weren't successful at first. It took them ages.
They won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, they won multiple awards for Rookie of the Year, and they like did do very well in the beginning, especially considering the obstacles they were facing in terms of being from a small company. Like, I hate that narrative of like, oh, it took them 2 years to get their first win at a music show.
No, their talent was there.
Yeah, like it has nothing to do with that. Like, and he says it himself, like, they're proud of how their debut went over. It wasn't a flop. It was never a flop.
Yeah. But then in the next line, he talks about how even like their haters were saying congrats, but only because they wanted a network and they were being fake. And he's like, you think we are stupid and we didn't realize this?
Yep. So he says, congrats, sure, just a word you always say to build connections. And that reminds me of Namjoon's verse in Dang, you know, when he's like stuttering. And it's like, yeah, everybody tries to like to come to us and say congratulations now that we're succeeding, but like we see right through you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he also just says like, my favorite line is he goes, "It's too early to be odd. Wait and see my future." And what I take from that is it's him saying like, okay, sure, you think like, even if on some hidden level you think I'm actually doing good, don't worry, it's too early. Wait, I'm gonna be even better.
Yep. But it's not only that he's saying you are awed by me, but don't even do that. Don't be awed by me, because you should see what's coming. You should see what I've got in store for you. And then he says, as much as you've looked down on me, I proceed onto the road to success. And that just points it out again, like you being hateful and looking down on people will magnify in a positive for that person. So just everyone be nice, because being mean gets you nowhere.
No. The only way you can, I don't know, as far as I understand it, be mean in hip-hop is create a diss track.
Yeah,
so that the other person has a reason to create a diss track back.
And it's creative.
Yeah, it's creative, and it brings attention to both of you. Like, I'm thinking of, what was it, Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem? That was fun.
Like, did you see the whole mess with Stormzy and Wiley? They're British rappers. Oh my goodness. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it was brutal. It was recent. And they were just releasing, like, one after the other. And yeah, it's known as a communal thing that people don't take too seriously, because it's like, we're creating art from this, and thanks for inspiring me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think that's supposed to be like, you know how everybody always says about reality TV, like where they have fights on reality TV, it's like, well, it's trashy, but people like to watch it because we like drama, we like conflict. Well, here's the non-trashy version of it. You just have these like really clever diss tracks going back and forth, and you're on the side going, oh my god, they said what? And it's just fun.
Yeah. Oh god. Yup.
Yeah. So I think that's it for this song, unless you have anything else you wanted to add.
No, I just want to read out the chorus. I don't know you and you don't know me. Would you please shut up? Don't worry about me. I'm doing better than you. It will continue to be like that. Where are all those friends who looked down on me in the past? We on. This isn't some kind of joke. I'll show you. I promise you. We on. And then they say, gimme that, real fact. And that's like so like classic of like slang language of hip hop, of like, yeah.
I just think like
Bangtan, savage.
They are savage, and how right they were.
Yup.
I'm so proud of them. Going back and listening to all this, I'm so proud. From the outside, can you imagine what they feel like when they periodically go back and listen to this? Like when they had those Bangtan bombs of them at the 2019 Mamas, you know, where they did they did Bulletproof Part 2, right? That's what they did there.
Yeah.
So it's like, and backstage, Namjoon was saying like, this is so nostalgic. It's so strange to do this and remember like what's happened. And I'm like, yeah. That's how I feel as we review these songs.
But I also love the fact that like they're not in that mindset anymore. And even though it was a great mindset to have when you were starting out, like they don't need to be in that mindset anymore, because they've got nothing to prove.
I still think it's fun.
It is so fun.
Yeah. All right, so moving on.
Yes.
Next is the skit. So we'll play the skit after we talk about it. But we figured since most of us are English speaking and not Korean speaking, I might as well talk about it first.
Yes, exactly.
Do you want to summarize it?
So I had to like go over this a few times, because it's basically them in the car on the way to a fan meeting, and they're just talking about how it's 6:30 a.m. in the morning and they all need to pee and they need to go to a rest stop, but they can't. And then they're like, oh, is this recording? And then they're just saying, you know, even though it's hard, we're happy right now. And that's about it really, in terms of just an overall summary. But I was very much like, well, I need to know why they've placed this here. Like there must be a very important reason that this is the topic, that this is chosen and that it goes in this thing. And I mean, I'll go further into it. I still don't know for sure, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good summary. So here's my take on it. Right? So they're getting into the car, they talk about how early it is. It's like 6:30 in the morning. And I think they're showcasing their camaraderie, their relatability. And then they and then they talk about having to go pee and how their bladders are about to explode, and they're like, man, last time we did this fan meet, like, I thought I was gonna die. And you would never expect to hear something like this from any other idol group.
Yes.
From the beginning, BTS has been focused on being real, on being authentic, and bringing the listener into their lives, which was unheard of then. It's still kind of unheard of now. Like, no one has
Like,
done
you
it.
pretend that you don't have basic needs to use the bathroom. Like, that's just the way it is. And in this, like, literally all of them are saying, like, I really need to pee, I've got to go to the bathroom, my blood is going to explode. Like, and they literally spend most of this conversation talking about how they need to pee.
Yeah.
And that's just so rare.
And then, so that's why I thought they included that. And also partially because they introduced the beat for If I Ruled the World and say, like, oh, look, PD Nim, like, put this together. And then Namjoon goes, like, oh, he listened to it for 2 hours, but he couldn't come up with any lyrics. And that was them, again, being real. Like, it's not like it comes to us easily. Like, it takes time, and we have to, like, struggle to come up with the music we want.
Yeah, it's showing you a bit of that process of the behind the scenes of, oh, we get a beat and then we think about what we're going to do with it, and sometimes we can't and it takes a while. So it's like getting that behind the scenes vibe of the album, I guess.
Yeah. And then honestly, I also took it as this was them responding to the question and, like, the intro of this mini album, EP, I think it's called an EP, where they were like, hey, don't follow someone else's dream, follow your own, do what you want to do. And so towards the end of it, J-Hope's like, even though we're tired, aren't we happy now? And then collectively as a group, they're like, yeah, like, when will we ever get to do something like this? Like, we're fulfilling our dreams that we had as trainees. Like, this is what we wanted to do, and it's still hard, and it's still painful, and there's still a lot of, like, struggle. But this is what happiness means to us, doing what it is that we want to do.
Yeah, completely. So, are you ready for a literary analysis?
Yes, go. Let's go for
So,
it.
this last passage I found very interesting. So, RM says, I mean, let's be honest, when will we get to do something like this? Yoongi, after all, this is what we've been dreaming of when we were trainees. We are happy. RM, are you awake now? And this is to JK, who's been sleeping. And then JK says,
they were mean to him.
JK says, huh? Hey, it's the rest stop, rest stop. And then RM sighs and says, waking up when we arrive at the rest stop. And then Jimin says, your face is so swollen. Look, his face is swollen. So, right. Hear me out on this. Let me try and explain
Okay.
it. So, they start with JK being asleep. And then when they're talking about happiness and, like, what they've dreamed of, he wakes up and they say, are you awake now? And then it's very much like JK is the youngest member. So this is totally a shot into the dark of me, like, analyzing this literally. So yeah, just bear with me. But JK is the youngest member. He's sleeping. Innocence, like, peace, youth, all these kinds of things. And they're talking throughout this thing that they want to go to a rest stop, but they can't just stop at a rest stop because it's so early and things like that. And then when they arrive at the rest stop, JK, like, wakes up and then he like, comes to, I guess. So it's almost like they've been dreaming of this, and the previous hardships of, like, what am I thinking of now? Of, like, having to wake up early, blah 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 blah, and then it seems like it will keep being a dream, keep being asleep until they reach this rest stop and almost release that tension of overworking and things and finally reaching this place where they can be happy. So like just JK's kind of character development throughout this thing is like, oh, I'm sleeping and it's like a dream, and then we arrive at the rest stop and then we're finally happy. And yeah, it's just kind of like
I like that metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you Namjoon listened to this later and he's like, you could make this a metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, that may be totally off, but if this was a poem, that would be how I would analyze it. Yeah.
I like that. All right, shall we listen to the skit now?
Yes.
Okay.
엄마 어디가 여기? 차에 타자마자 나네. 몇 시야 몇 시? 지금 6시 30분 정도.
다 오겠네.
나도 안 해.
자고 싶은데 한 번도 못 잤어요 진짜.
우리 휴게소 안 들려요? 내가 아까 그렇게
6시 30분인데 드릴 수가 있냐? 써야지.
아니야 그거 들려야 돼. 저 지금 방광이 터지고.
화장실 너무 급해 진짜.
방광 폭발 직전.
대구 팬사인회 저희 화장실을 못 들려가지고 진짜 죽을 것 같다 진짜. 참아요.
다들 방광 괜찮아? Are you okay?
I'm okay. 지금 녹화하는 거야? 내 방송에? 내 방송에 왜 녹화를 하니? 진짜.
괜찮은지 검사하고 싶어가지고.
진짜. 자다 잠이 잤겠네.
다 가니까 뭐.
그러니까
진짜 대전 팬사 진짜 기대된다. 이거 너네들이 방광을 더 쫄깃하게. 이따가 팬사인회 끝나 안무해야 돼.
안무?
쫄깃해.
진짜 더 쫄깃하게.
빨리 가고 싶어.
가사 써야 돼. 가사 써야 돼.
더블 콤보.
빨리 알았어?
비트? 더 왔나? 왔긴 왔는데 피디님한테.
나 들어봤는데 좋아.
완전
이거
힙합.
들었던 건데. 근데 처음 들을 땐 좋아. 근데
완전 올렸는데?
내가 듣고서 2시간 동안 들어보고 가사가 안 돼.
가사 쓰면 싫어. 괜찮은데요? 언제 쓰냐? 큰일 났다.
야 시끄러. 미안.
그보다 정국이 코 좀 막아주면 안 되니?
진짜 왜 이렇게 보내?
진짜 내가 저 순간 잘 알아. 힘들지?
부럽다. 어리다.
좀 몸이 좀
힘들긴 하지.
못 자니까. 그래도 뭐 힘들어도 이게 행복한 거 아닌가?
그치 뭐
행복하지.
행복하다.
근데 솔직히 좀 행복해.
팬들 보러 가자.
근데 솔직히 그래요. 언제 이런 거 해보겠어.
연습생 때 꿈꾸던 게 이런 거잖아.
그치.
아무래도 행복하지.
바쁘게 행복한 거야 진짜.
당연하죠.
짱짱.
뭐야?
깼냐?
현수다.
일어나 임마.
현수.
그게 보니까 깨. 얼굴 부었어.
나가다. 쟤또 얼굴 부었어. 완전 부었어.
나도 진짜 팬싸였나.
Voila.
Okay. So one thing we didn't point out was that the beat that they were listening to is for the next song, If I Ruled the World.
Oh yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So that was cool. It's a cool transition.
It's a really cool transition, actually. I like that. All right, tell us about If I Ruled the World, Billy.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? The title pretty much says it all. This is what I would do if I ruled the world. And each of the rappers kind of like go about that, telling their own like wishes for what they would do if they could do anything. And yeah, it's funny to see their different approaches to it. Also, in terms of like the beat and the song, this is very kind of LA style Snoop Dogg type music. It's so clearly influenced from that kind of hip hop. Again, like a lot of this album has lots of influences that like they've obviously listened to songs that they really like and then incorporated it into making their own music. Like even when they say like West Side, like that's very typical to say in that kind of music as well. I love it though. I really like the feel of this song. It's very just like chill.
I just really wonder, like, were they given this as a prompt from Bang PD where he was like, all right, you have to write about something, and they're like, or maybe they were complaining about the state of the world and what was happening, and he's like, fine, write a song about that. And they're like, what? And he's like, what would you do if you ruled the world? What a fun prompt.
It is a fun prompt. Yeah, it would be fun to write a song about what you would do if you ruled the world.
So shall we go through section rapper by rapper?
Yes. So once again, we have Junie starting. So I've said this many times, but the testosterone was high in this one when he was this age. Like, I feel like Namjoon was, like, in their first couple of albums, he was very much just like, girls.
He
Oh my
was
God.
thinking with something else.
Yeah, puberty, came kind of late here.
His sexual awakening,
Yeah. Yeah, he just talks about loads of the fact that if he ruled the world, he'd just want to be showered by affection from girls. And I love the fact that even in this...
That's not what he said. He said that he wants to be buried in girls.
Yeah, buried in a pile of girls, yeah. But I love the fact that even though he's talking about like something so like, oh, I just want all the girls to want me, like he also has a little like peace message in there of completely disappears racism, European, Asian, Caucasian girls, I have them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what nationality or race you are, that's fine. I want all of them.
Yeah, what a humanitarian. Pure-minded
right.
humanitarian.
Yeah, so beautiful. What a beautiful concept.
Yeah. And then I just also want to point out that he's like, he essentially listed out his favorite designers and said he wants them to make him like an all-black wardrobe. And I'm like,
The Kim Namjoon collection.
yeah, and I'm like, well, is that why he wore those like incredible outfits? Like, I'm thinking of he wore 2018 Golden Disc Awards, that like black gothic outfit that was actually like looking like a dress,
like a vampire.
Yeah. I'm like, is this him like bringing his dreams to life? Because
maybe that's the Kim Namjoon collection.
Yeah, like, because I love it. He looks so good. But yeah,
I love the fact that he just randomly says, I'd pick my nose out of boredom. Like, okay.
Thanks.
Nice.
Oh, no, I think what he's trying to say is that, like, he wouldn't have to work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that actually leads me into, like, so the chorus of the song is, like, they go 1 for the money, 2 for the money. Honestly, I think at that point, they were probably all very poor and dreaming of making money from their music careers.
Yep.
So, like, that's all they could think about. Right? It was probably
girls and money.
Yeah.
Plus, they listen to so much hip hop. Like, what are the two topics of hip hop? Girls and money. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that like this, I just love that like instead of being like 1 for the money, 2 for the show, which is like the usual way of phrasing it, they were like, we're like 1 for the money, 2 for the money, like we just want money.
Poor. We just want the money, okay? Before we fully move on, I just wanted to say, so Namjoon says, all the girls of the world, for me, they're ready to die. First, extreme, but second, very true. That has become. All the girls of the world are ready to die for Kim Namjoon.
Was he wrong?
Yeah, he wasn't wrong.
No.
So in the chorus, like, I just love how they're doing like the everybody say hey oh, hey, oh, and then they just say,
So
though
catchy.
I know this doesn't even make sense, I still sing this naive song. Like, I'm gonna keep singing this stupid song even though it makes no sense.
I like that part. I thought it was really
Same.
relatable because whenever songs have parts like that, I'm like, this is stupid, but I really like it, so I just sing along. And it was so funny to see them point it out.
Yeah, it's like, this is a catchy song. We didn't know what to do for the hook. We're going to come up with some cool thing that we can all sing along and then just be like, you know what? This doesn't make sense, but I'm going to sing it anyway. Yeah. But I mean, I bet it does have a double meaning. Like, I bet it's something like, even though it doesn't make sense for us to want all of these things to rule the world and to have all these things that are beck and call, I'll still like secretly wish for it anyway.
Or maybe they were being criticized that their music didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So then next part is Yoongi. And he raps about how if he ruled the world, he would buy a house to live in with his family. Which, by the way, is a very smart financial move because that's a good financial investment, longevity. And that he would wake his unused driver's license and buy a big luxury car, and specifically points out that he would pay in interest-free installments. Like, that's a finance boy after my own heart. And that he would not invest in stocks or gambling stocks because they're volatile, and gambling because there's no guaranteed return on investment. And then I just like how after he like has all these like very nerdy, like straight up explanations of like what he would do, he quotes and he's like, "Don't ask me why my dream is so small when I'm ruling the world."
Yeah, that's my favorite part of his thing, because it's like you have Namjoon, he's like, "Oh, all the girls are gonna die for me. I'm gonna be buried under girls, and I'm gonna do all these things and make a collection for myself." And Yoongi's like, "I'd like a house and a car, and it'd be nice to put some gas in without having to worry about paying the next rent. Like I can just do it all in one go."
Yeah.
And it's just so practical. And,
I just like, don't ask me why my dream is so small.
Yeah.
And then
when I'm ruling the world, like, because with that bit as well, he's very much just like, he knows people would be like, "You're ruling the world, like why would you do something so small?" And he's like, "You don't get to ask me. I'm the ruler of the world, okay? Stop asking."
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And then do you want to talk about the next thing he says?
Oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite lines from BTS ever. And honestly, like, I like watching people react to this song just because when they come across this line, they're always like, "Can they say that?" Because it's so ballsy, right? He says, "I'd become the Kim Jong-un of the hip-hop scene and censor any music other than ours." And that is just so like, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that.
But that's also so honest.
Yeah, it is. And it's so funny. He's got a big pair on him.
I also like how he then just follows it up by saying, "I know it's a dream that doesn't make any sense. It's my dream. Don't make fun of it."
Yeah. He's very much like, it sounds like a conversation you would have with
your friends,
a child, but also a grown man, like an old man. Like an old man will be like, "I would like buy a car and a house," and then the kid would be like, "Don't make fun of me. It's my dream."
I just thought it was so cute, and he's just like, "This is what I would do. This is me. I'm not as flashy as everyone else.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be the Kim Jong-un of the hip hop scene and censor any music on the charts."
Yeah, like,
okay.
I'm not flashy when it comes to like practical things, but when it comes to music, mine is the only thing that matters. So
just probably very revealing of his just mental place, where he's just like, "I don't give a shit about anything except my music. My music is better than all you."
Yep. I mean, I'd be okay with having every other music censored except BTS.
Same. They have a song for every genre, for every occasion. I would be so well fed. Like, between their official releases, their mixtape, and their SoundCloud, and remixes that other people do that like work with them. Like, music for years. This review thing is gonna take us 3 decades to get through.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't be censored. We'd never be censored in Yoongi's world. Hey. Oh, and do you know what? How great would that be if like you were going shopping and on the speakers was just like some chill BTS music? You were in the club and there was the hype BTS music. There was a fight scene in movies and there was the like aggressive BTS music.
Fire.
Just BTS music everywhere you go. Yes.
I would love it. Yeah. Yoongi, we're on board. Just letting you know.
I would live in Yoongi's world.
Any other comments on... Oh, I have one more comment. He also said that he would stay with his Bangtan family.
Oh yeah, that was really cute.
So I just love that, like, they've been together, like, debuted for a couple months, right? This, like, EP came out in September. They debuted in June.
Yeah, it came out very soon.
Yeah, so, but he's just like, my Bangtan family. So, like, one, I'm sure he means the other guys. But also, it seems to me that he might potentially also be talking about Big Hit. He's just like, I'm happy here. His loyalty is just already coming out.
And he says, like, I with Bangtan family am still nonetheless hungry for music. So it's like, even if I ruled the world, even if I didn't have to worry about anything ever again, I would still be just as hungry for music because this is the thing that I'm passionate about.
So
like
cute.
it. Yeah.
Okay, and J-Hope.
This is my favorite line. All the girls of the world are in Hope World lining up.
Yeah, well, like, first off, he knew about Hope. He had already thought up Hope World way back then.
Yep.
Which also makes...
I thought it was... Yeah, I thought that it was first revealed in Hip Hop Lover, because he says Hope World before Hope World, Coal World. So like J. Cole has Cole World. And I thought that was when it was first revealed, but it's not. It's this song is the first time that he talks about Hope World.
Can you imagine then that he thought this up way back here and how long it took until he could come out with his mixtape?
I wonder if he knew from then that if he ever released a solo project, it would be called Hope World.
Well, I think that's his, it's been his brainchild. So, like, it's just the things that he
But I guess
thinks
Hope
of.
World to him is also just his energy, his environment, like who he is, and yeah.
But so like he talks about how he wants to make a lot of money, and he also says that he doesn't want to have stage fright, and no worries about making money as a performer, right? So like that's the dream scenario, right, where you can perform and love to perform on stage and not worry that you might not make enough as a performer.
And it is very interesting going to like Shadow or Black Swan after this, because obviously they're kind of like mirrored with one another, and just seeing those different states of mind that they've been in, that like when you don't really have anything and when you're just starting out on your dreams and you don't know where it's going to end up and things like that, like all you can think about is the positives that will come with it. Like you don't even consider there being negatives, because there couldn't possibly be negatives. Like, oh, I'm struggling every day to make money and to enjoy doing this because it's so stressful. So once I do that, surely all the problems go away. But then...
Or the good parts outshine all the problems. And it's rather that they go hand in hand, and you have to deal with both at the same time in equal measure.
Yeah, and then it just becomes new problems, bigger problems, different problems. And this song, I guess even when they say again, like, even though I'm singing this naive song, like, this is a very naive song because life doesn't work like that. But it's the type of song that is very relatable because that's just how we all feel. You know?
What I like is that at the end of his verse, he says that he will gift himself these dreams because he's betting the name of Bangtan on it.
Yes.
And I'm like, you bet it, and it was a good bet, and you guys are so big. I'm so proud.
Yeah, that's my my other favorite line, betting the name of Bangtan on it, I shall, if I ruled the world. So it's like, none of these things make sense, and they're all crazy and probably never gonna happen, but I'm gonna take that chance anyway. I'm gonna bet on my team and shout it out and try and do it and see what happens. And to be honest, I feel like they all have achieved everything in this song if they wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that this song is a really cool glimpse into their minds at that point in their career at that age.
Yeah. And I also just think it's so much fun. Like, it's easy just to talk through the lyrics and everything, but it's such a vibe. It's so just, it reminds me of youth. It reminds me of just being silly, and I love that about it. So without further ado, should we end this episode of Army Review and listen to that fun song, and we can all dance?
Don't ask me why my dream is so small. If I'm really
before we end, actually,
what?
If you ruled the world, what would you do? What would you want?
Me? I would solve the world's problems. No racism, world hunger, cancer, AIDS.
Are you on a Miss America beauty pageant right now?
Yeah, no. Well, it's like
world peace.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I like my life. I like everything the way it is. I just wish there were less of these like problems that plague the world, that just like make my enjoyment of my daily life less because I know someone else is suffering. Yes. And like mostly I want us to like get to a point where human health is not a problem, where we've learned how to heal every disease, every injury. As someone who has chronic problems, like with my health, and
that's just a dystopian science fiction movie waiting to happen. Once we do that, we get taken over by robots, and then everything goes to shit.
Then I want to be I want to be a robot.
Yeah, I mean, we could implant our brains into machines and then live as machines, you know.
Well, that's where we're heading to. Did you know that? Like how like this whole like merging of technology and humans, like.
I've read a lot of things about it, biotechnology, and how we can't define what is human and what is technology anymore because it's too difficult to separate the two. And It's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Also, my leadership style, it tends to be like democratic dictatorship. So I take everyone's opinion into account, and then I make the decision, and everyone has to comply because I've chosen the one that benefits the most amount of people at the same time. So if I ruled the world, I would take all this bullshit that happens between all the countries, figure out what the problem is, figure out the solution, and then implement it and say, you have to fucking live with this.
Oh, so you'd be a
Stop.
totalitarian government.
Yes,
So
I would.
everyone will be quaking in fear under your rule.
No,
I don't want to live in your
I'd
world.
be a democratic dictator.
That's just like a polite way of saying totalitarianist.
Whatever. Semantics. What about you?
Don't make fun of me.
Wait, what did he say? He's like, I know it's a dream that doesn't make any sense. It's my dream. Don't make fun of it. Me and you're on the same page, okay?
Okay.
What about you, Billy?
Well, you've said a lot of the main things of just obviously I just don't want any of the systemic issues to be there. Wiped out fresh, day one, starting again. Race isn't an issue. Finance isn't an issue. But I tell you what I would do if I could rule the world is money and need wouldn't be a factor into anything. Everyone could have what they wanted to have and could spend their days just being happy and doing what they wanted to do. And people wouldn't be selfish and greedy and shitty. Everyone would be good and just use that time.
Okay, so you're an
to enjoy
emotional
themselves.
dictator. You're going to make everybody have to feel the same happy way. Suffering
gonna
is
make
not allowed.
I'm going to make everyone have the time to do whatever they choose to do. If you want to sit on the couch playing video games and gaining weight, then, whatever, it's fine. You do that. Everyone can just live out their dreams and their hobbies, and but also if I ruled the world, I would make sure that BTS was in my life every day.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Sorry, BTS, you can't get rid of us.
Yeah, you're stuck with us. Sorry. If I ruled the world, then I'll be a dictator over you. You can't get out. Sorry.
I guess we're all gonna be like Kim Jong-un of our own life.
Yup.
Yeah. All right, let's go listen to this song.
Tell us what you would do if you
Yes,
ruled the world.
please. All right,
Yeah.
bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
If I rule the world, I do it all. West side till I die. Give me the real hook, man. If I rule the world, I do it all. Yeah, it's BTS. And we do it. If I rule the world, I have it all. 남자라면 똑같겠지, pretty girls. 완전히 없어진 인종차별. European, Asian, Caucasian girls. 그리고 물어 with Owens and Mr. Alexander Wang and Shane Oliver. 평생 만들게 해 김남준 컬렉션 옷 색깔이 까만 색으로 이제 좀 만족스러. Music, turn it up. 지루해져 후비는 코꾸녀. 노래 만들어 지구상 모든 사람들에게 부르게 해. 노래 제목은 애국가. 이쁜 여자들에게 파묻혀 TV를 봐. 세상의 모든 여자들 나 we are ready to die. 남자들 너네 술 가져와. 인행 없어져도 좋아. 어쨌든 여긴 내 왕국이니까. 만약 세상을 지배한다면 일단 먼저 난 공인중개사를 찾아가 가족과 함께 살 집을 사고파. 그래 그 다음은 내 장롱면 넌 잠에서 깨워줘야지. 다른 구동 차를 구입하고 기름을 주입하고 이런 게 무리라도 무이자인 할부로 수식과 도박 그딴 건 안 하고파. 세상을 지배했는데 왜 그리 꿈이 소박하냐는 질문은 많아. 박사 식구들과 그래도 여전히 I'm still 음악이 고파. 난 힙합계의 김장은이 됐어. 우리
내 음악 말곤 신미래 걸겠어 얼토당토하는 꿈이지만 It's my dream 놀리지 마 여자들은 whole 주섰대 뭐든 money 거든 하겠어 너네 지갑이랑 꼴대에 돈이 꼬리 대지도 겁없이 무대를 걸어다니지 달리지 않아도 갈수록 살가는 말이지 이런 꿈들을 이제 내게 곧 선물하겠어 방탄이란 이름 걸고 외쳐 이 바로